y'all, it's Mells with Superficial Gallery, and welcome to episode 15 of 31 Days with the King. This is a short series dedicated to all things Stephen King, with a daily upload on one of his works. We'll try our best to incorporate some of his more popular titles, as well as some of the ones that are not as known, and even the ones that weren't as well received. So with that, let's get started with today's pick, and it is Elevation. Okay, now this is a shorter Stephen King novel. At first I wanted to call it a novella, but it is marketed as a novel, so which I find funny because a lot of his short stories and his collections are actually longer than this book. But this came out last year in October. I was very excited to get this because it is a Castle Rock story. However, once I read it, I was really thrown for a loop because it is not really like anything he has done before. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was just a big surprise. So in this novel, and of course, I won't be able to say much because as you saw, it's shorter and I don't want to spoil it, but there's a man, he lives in Castle Rock, and he starts to notice that he's losing weight. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I feel like King, or there has been a story in the King universe somewhere that's similar to that. And when I first started reading it, I immediately thought of Thinner, which is actually a Richard Bachman book. But while it takes the same premise, unexplained weight loss, it is not the same type of story, meaning the gentleman in this story does experience weight loss. Every day he weighs himself and he weighs less and less and less. But he does not have the appearance of losing weight. He still looks like he normally does. So I think at the beginning, he's like well over 200 pounds. And even as he loses weight at an alarming rate, that rhymed, he still has the appearance of a 6 foot tall man, 200 pounds. And he weighs the exact same whether he's got, clothes on or clothes off. So he still looks like a normal sized man, but the weight on the scale is dwindling down day after day after day. And so that is a little bit of like supernatural type or unexplained mystery to the book, but that's about where it ends when we talk about the normal Stephen King tropes. So there's really not any like horror in the book. There's no, extreme supernatural. There's nothing like that. It's actually a story about when we are faced with something like perhaps our own mortality, let's put it that way, how it changes how we treat others. So it's really like a humanity story. It is very heavily influenced by politics. So if that is not your thing, then you may not enjoy this novel. Just go on Stephen King's Twitter if you want to know his political views or what he thinks about the political climate, and then you can kind of get a little bit of an idea what the story is centered around when I say it's heavily influenced by politics. But again, it's just not like any other story I've read by him. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a bad thing. I didn't mind the book. I read it fairly quickly. Like I said, it's really short, and it was just a lesson in humanity, really, and that's what I enjoyed about it. I wouldn't put it like in my top 10 Stephen King novels simply because it's just not that long. It's a short tale of kind of what it means to do the right thing in some situations. Now, if you prefer to listen to books, this is on Audible, and I have listened to it on Audible as well, and it is narrated by Stephen King himself. So I have mentioned before that I really enjoy listening to him narrate his own work, and so if you would prefer to listen to it, you can definitely check it out on there. It's well worth it. It's about a 3-hour listen, so because it's sort of a short novel here. So I hope you have enjoyed this little ride on Elevation with me. Now, I think you probably could have seen from the beginning, but this is a very small book, okay? Like, we're talking, yeah, fits in the palm of your hand. So, obviously, I wouldn't be me if I didn't show you the photo, but because it's a smaller book, we get a smaller photo. He's still handsome, though. Handsome little devil. So check that out if you're looking for just something a little bit different than what he normally writes about. Don't forget to subscribe to Superficial Gallery. Hit the bell to get notified when new content is published. If you have read this story, go ahead and comment below and let us know what your thoughts are. Like the video. We are taking special requests, so if you have a specific Stephen King work that you would like to see covered on 31 Days with the King, you can comment that below as well, or tweet me at MellsBells84. We'd be happy to include that in the series. We've already had a few requests this month, and we've got a few more coming up. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful night, and I will be back to haunt y'all tomorrow. Bye. Aww.